Think about it. The 18-team Big Ten, coupled with the expansion of the college football playoff to 12 teams happening at the same time, has produced a fascinating process where we evaluate this league, we reassess, reshuffle every week. And we have so many more games that are unpredictable, so many more meaningful games, so many more games between the middle to upper tier of this conference that have to be evaluated, have to be weighted upon to say, okay, we can't just totally predict this conference at the start of the season. And we're looking at the Ohio State-Michigan game, Ohio State-Penn State, Michigan-Penn State, and then who's the sacrificial lamb from the other division. That's the entire conference schedule. 4 games, not anymore. USC, Michigan, Washington, Iowa. We could go on down the list with Illinois and others. We thought Indiana, maybe they're elite. They look it, that's for sure. That creates a fascinating situation. Now, Michigan flunking these tests coming into Saturday's action in Ann Arbor. But keep in mind, just one of those 2 games in the conference. So Michigan still with a showdown against Washington today that proved to be rather enlightening about this Michigan football team. Keep in mind, I appear on the Michigan podcast, and Steve Dace told me, hey, Mark, be prepared. Michigan loses this game, I'm going to be asking you for replacement candidates for Sharon Moore. Yes, Michigan had played 2 legitimate opponents before Saturday. Oklahoma, they got controlled at the line of scrimmage. They tried to play in a phone booth. They tried to lean on the defense. They didn't let Bryce Underwood do anything. And Oklahoma just controlled the game, dominated them up front. They could do nothing on the ground, and they couldn't stop Oklahoma rushing the football. Then USC last week, we thought the Trojans had the athleticism advantage. They did, but they also beat it down Michigan's throat. They've not been able to do that in the Big Ten in 1.5 seasons, but they did it to Michigan. What would the Wolverines do against Washington? Well, their leader, their captain, Max Bredesen, said before the game, we're angry. We're angry, but we've got to look at ourselves, and we can't feel sorry for ourselves because, hey, Washington was going to come in, and let's not just make this all about Michigan because the Huskies came in with a 5-1 record and a real opportunity to notch, well, I guess it would just be a decent win because Michigan would have lost its only 3 meaningful games against decent teams, but a meaningful, decent win for the Huskies to propel them into a showdown against Illinois next week. So this, one of those key matchups, Illinois USC, Illinois Michigan, Michigan Washington, all of these games to create and produce for us who is going to be that 4th entry into the college football playoff for the Big Ten. And after today, Michigan takes a large step forward. Consider Justice Haynes not playing in this game, and he's been arguably the best back in college football. Jordan Marshall, I touted him all offseason because I was so mighty impressed with Marshall's performance against Alabama in the ReliaQuest Bowl last year when he gained 100 yards as just a freshman that I knew would get bigger and stronger and understand the offense more and learn more about how to run off of blocks and so forth. Well, he got the call today. Of course, he's been playing a lot as the 1A guy, the number 2 guy behind Haynes, but he had to be the workhorse again like he was in the bowl game against Alabama. 25 carries for $133. If you look at this Michigan box score, which we will in just a second, this is a Michigan box score of 2021, 22, 23. Yes, Washington's not a great football team, but Washington's a really good football team. Michigan beat Washington in much the same way that Ohio State beat Washington. So again, we got to recalibrate because after USC, Michigan looked like they're done for the season. They're a mid-tier bowl team. But after this game, okay, let's not crown them Big Ten champions yet, but with just 1 loss with an easy schedule the rest of the way before they welcome the number 1 team in the country, Michigan back in play for the Big Ten championship game. So let's not overthink it or jump to conclusions. Michigan wins 24-7. Washington's left tackle was out of this game. Again, Justice Haynes was questionable. He actually worked out and was out on the field for pregame warmups, but then did not play, did not respond. Rod Moore, one of Michigan's, we talked about Bredesen, one of their leaders, he was out of the game, replaced by Mason Curtis. Damon Williams early in the game escaped and converted a 3rd down into a 1st down And it was noted by Joel Klatt during the broadcast that there was no spy from Michigan, but they certainly corrected things for sure, because Damon Williams, who has been just lightning in a bottle this season, one of the most electric players in college football, 5 carries, 19 yards against Michigan. 2 of those are sacks. So 3 carries for close to 30 yards. That sounds impressive, but they contained him. That's the important thing. They had 2 sacks again on Damon Williams. Jair Hill dropped an interception. Otherwise, Michigan could have been off and running early in this game. But Zeke Berry had a key pass breakup on the sideline to force the Washington punt. Max Bredesen was called for a hold. It was the start of a promising Michigan offensive series, and Bredesen was not a hold. He really knocked down his guy, and then he just got on top of him, and he was just there keeping him down. Not a hold, so that kind of stymied the Michigan drive there. Deacon Tonelli, he had a drop that was horrible on a great throw by Bryce Underwood early in the game, but Deacon Tonelli would make up for it later. 3 catches for 38 yards, and those were key receptions by Michigan's 4th tight end having to play in this game. You never like to see it, regardless of who you root for. Left tackle Evan Link had to be carted off the field. And Michigan, let's note this as well, youngest team in the Big Ten. And with a redshirt freshman in Blake Frazier replacing Evan Link, it gets even younger. So in regards to the total roster and also the 2 deep in the starting lineup that plays, Michigan has the youngest team in the Big Ten. And keep this in mind, these teams have to grow up quickly. These players grow up quickly over the course of a season. You don't have to wait for them to be juniors and seniors to be good players anymore. They grow up during the course of the season, so Michigan could still be a force to be reckoned with. Samaj Morgan, this is the Michigan pass offense. Now, hold off here just a second, because it progressed during this game, and it looked much better in the second half. But this just 2-play sequence in the first quarter, Michigan's got a 4th and 1. I thought for sure they're going to run the ball and didn't like them being in the shotgun, even though it was a full yard. It wasn't like a quarterback sneak, obvious type situation. But they go out of the spread, and then they flip it out to Samaj Morgan, who, Samaj Morgan is dropping passes left and right. Why do you rely on him to produce and convert the 4th and 1? Even though it's just a flip pass, just a little boop. Nope, right in his hands. I guess he was worried about where he was going to run and looking where he was going to run. You don't need to run anywhere, Samaj. You catch the ball, you got a first down. It's 4th and 1. There's nobody in sight. No traffic, nothing. Samaj Morgan lets down Michigan again with another drop, 4th and 1. Next play, Washington on the quick turnaround. Jed Fish does the conventional thing, and he goes for the gusto downfield. Now, Denzel Boston is no Samaj Morgan. He is one of the best wide receivers in all of college football. He really had to track the football. Considering where he was when that ball was in the air to where he caught the football, he went from hash to hash, and double coverage, high point of the football, excellent tracking of the football. That's what I noticed on that one. And you just got to see the difference between capable wide receiver play, incapable wide receiver play between Washington and Michigan. Fortunately for the Wolverines, they relied on other players for the rest of the game in the pass game, specifically on this series that produced the first touchdown. Michigan's best drive of the season against a good opponent. Donovan McCulley, really sharp connection with Bryce Underwood. Zach Marshall again. And then the middle screen to, the guy that we've been telling Michigan to get involved in the offense. And they did last week against USC. He had big numbers. And, of course, we're talking about the freshman Andrew Marsh with the middle screen for the touchdown. 7 plays, 80 yards. Michigan looks sharp on offense here. 7-0. Tight end Quentin Moore carted off the field for Washington. And the Huskies got their one drive that they completed, and it was cited in the broadcast. You can see it in the play-by-play. It wasn't until late in the second half until Washington actually was stopped before getting into Michigan territory. So the Huskies moved the ball, relatively speaking, but never deep in Michigan territory, except, yes, this touchdown drive, 13 plays, 70 yards, and that was all Jonah Coleman and Damon Williams 7-7. But the rest of the game, Jonah Coleman, not a factor, but not his fault. It was all Michigan defense. The front four dominating Washington up front. Right out of the gate, second half, after getting a 3-and-out, Michigan goes on another drive that looks, again, the offense looks much better than it's looked all season. 10 plays, 55 yards. But Washington stuffs Michigan inside the 5-yard line. So the Wolverines go for it. They get stuffed. So we still have a 7-7 ball game at this point. TJ Guy off the edge for Michigan. Nobody blocked him. Nobody saw him. And the tackle went inside and took the player. And the blitzing TJ Guy, well, not really a blitz for him, just coming off the edge. Quarterback hurry, throws off to Demond Williams, forces the punt. And that was after a play in which Jedd Fisch went for it on 4th and 1. Jonah Coleman was hit by Ernest Hausman. Now, Hausman was also engaged. No, it was Jashawn Barham. Barham was engaged in a block, so it's not like he completely missed the tackle. But Coleman, that was a risky call by Jedd Fisch at his own 20 with a full yard. Washington did convert, but then, again, TJ Guy forced the quick throw and the off throw by Demond Williams because he had Roback open on the slant. But he had to throw it just a little bit early, threw them off, and Washington in the second half, 22 plays, 54 yards. The Michigan defense came to play. This is what I expected from the Michigan defense against USC in the second half, that they couldn't get done against a team that was missing its top 3 running backs and its top 2 offensive linemen. But this is why we monitor the sport week to week, because you would never think that they'd be able to do it this week against Washington. And if anybody wants to follow my picks, please do. They're on Patreon. You can look at them each week, or you can sign up for the monthly deal. But when it comes to Michigan, I'll tell you right now, I don't know. I must not know anything because I watch this football team more than anybody else. But I had it wrong against Oklahoma. I had it wrong against USC. And I thought, Mark, you're not going to be a sucker for Michigan again here. And I picked Washington to win this game. And then the Wolverines go in here and they roll in the second half. Bryce Underwood could have had a first down. We don't know. He took off. He got close to the first down, or at least it was a bad spot, even if he was a little bit shy. And it's one of these questionable decisions by the officials. They review everything. They did not review that, and Michigan had to punt. But the Michigan defense then took over. Cole Sullivan with the interception. What was Demond Williams thinking? What did he not see? Because he had a receiver that was in the right deep flat. He had a back coming out of the backfield. He kind of threw it between them, and Cole Sullivan was just on his way to picking up the back out of the backfield, and boom, the ball's right in his face, picked off. And then the next play, Michigan made him pay. Jordan Marshall with the touchdown run, beautifully blocked. No safety help there, 14-7. Max Bredesen, though, had a great seal on that where they put him in motion from left to right, and then, boom, he clamped down and just sealed the inside on the trap type play. Wasn't a classic trap running play, but that part of it was, and Michigan 14-7. Demond Williams again with an interception on the last play of the third quarter to Jimmy Rolder. He expected the tight end on the stick route to keep going. He didn't. He wanted him to sit down there. The tight end kept going. Boom, he throws the interception to Rolder. So Demond Williams not having his best game, and Michigan's defense had a lot to do with that, but also was the beneficiary of the Washington passing game not being what it typically is. We saw that in the national championship game a couple years ago against Michael Penix, did we not? And that was after 2 beautiful completions by Demond Williams to 2 of his receivers that put them at midfield, but then he throws the pick, and it kind of came crashing down from there because then Bryce Underwood, I do have to note that he ran out of bounds to create a 3rd and 11. That was a dumb play. So Bryce Underwood, little schooling when they go through the game film on Sunday here. He rolls right. He's got nobody there. Didn't throw the ball away. He was outside the pocket. No intentional grounding. He just runs the ball out of bounds. 3rd and 11. But he made up for it with probably the best throw of the day to Tonelli. That was just, man, especially when they showed it. When I saw it live, I thought, that's a NFL throw. That's phenomenal. Then when they showed it from behind the offense, wow. Back foot, arm talent throw, tight coverage, crazy angle. Just, wow, he threaded it. That was beautiful. Michigan fans feel good that even though Bryce Underwood's not been great, he's just a true freshman. And he's getting so much better all the time. And he does show you about 3 to 5 times a game that, okay, he's special. And then the rollout touchdown to Marshall, 21-7, and pretty much that's all she wrote. So 9 plays, 62 yards there, 24-7 final. Again, the Michigan box score, we said it. This is classic Michigan during their championship run. They dominated in yardage, 417. So that's not prolific offense, but there are a limited number of plays in today's game because of the rules changes. So you're seeing less and less 500-yard game totals out of teams. So 417 is definitely solid, if not really good. 249 for Washington. Excellent defensive bounce back by this Michigan crew. 4.7 on the ground for Michigan. That's quality. 1.7 for Washington. And only 2 sacks. So that's basically Michigan stifling the run game. 3 takeaways to nothing. Michigan did not turn it over, and they took it away 3 times. 38-22 time of possession. That is classic Jim Harbaugh Michigan football. And then again, Bryce Underwood, an efficient 21-28. And again, we saw about 3 to 8 splash plays out of him, 3 to 5 splash plays out of him that were, boom, 5-star. That's why he was the #1 quarterback in the country. Appreciate you being here, the voice of college football. Keep in mind, Michigan's now just got 1 loss in conference. So we see those 2 losses, and this team's not that good. They're only 4-2. But only 1 loss in conference. There's only 2 undefeated teams in this conference, so Michigan's still in play, especially considering, look at that schedule. Sparty's up next. They are looking awful. Washington, Illinois. Washington probably out of it. They got to run the table, and they still got Illinois at home. They got Oregon down the road. It's going to be difficult for the Huskies to fit in there, but still the opportunity for anybody who's 10-2 in the Big Ten, maybe 9-3 if you're really strong, but 18-point losses to Michigan, 17 points to Ohio State and Michigan, 18 and 17-point losses by Washington are not going to serve them well, and obviously they would lose a college football playoff tiebreaker of sorts to the Wolverines. Your thoughts about Michigan football, Washington football? I want to hear from you Husky fans down in the comment section below. Keep in mind we're live late night, 10 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got a Michigan channel. They show up on Monday night, Tuesday night, Thursday night, and post-game. And again, we're live here at the Voice of College Football Monday through Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, or post-game. Please give me a call. Join the best chat in college football. See you then.